Hey, Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. And today we're talking about social media and specifically how can you grow a social media following in anticipation of a launch, for example, on Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or an e-commerce launch. That is what we are talking about today. So when it comes to social media and you're trying to grow a new profile, it can always be very intimidating. So today I just want to share a couple of simple hacks and things that you can do to be aware of in order to make sure that you make the most out of your time using any kind of social media platform, right? So we got a bunch of different social media platforms. We obviously got Instagram, we got Facebook, we got TikTok. You have other ones like LinkedIn, which might be more applicable for like an equity crowdfunding campaign. You have like Pinterest, etc. So we have all of these different social media platforms, right? And I think one of the most important things is to understand that there's a medium for each one. And when you're sharing a bit of content, it can be repurposed on all of these different platforms if you want to. So for example, if you watch my YouTube channel, you'll also notice that sometimes I will repurpose my content where I'm writing a blog post on a similar topic, right? Or if I'm doing a podcast, it might be on a similar topic as well. So you can always repurpose your content across Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of these different social media platforms if you want to. So that's the first thing to think about when you're planning the strategy. It's not necessarily about just having one strategy per platform. It's like, what is your overall strategy when it comes to social media? So first thing to do is number one, you're gonna wanna have some kind of a strategy, okay? And the strategy likely includes a few different components. So the first one are going to be when and how often are you gonna do what are called CTAs, so calls to action. Call to action for an Instagram might be go and click the link in my profile bio. If you're watching a YouTube video, it's go and check out the links in the description, go and do this thing, right? If it's with Facebook, maybe you're getting them trying to click a certain link on that actual post that you're doing on Facebook, right? So there's gonna be a certain CTA and you don't want it to be every single post that you're doing. Otherwise, people are just gonna start to tune out from it and it's not useful or helpful for them. The other type of strategy you might are showing product stage. Now, why would you want to show elements of the product stage? Reasons could be to get someone excited about what it is you're coming out with. So if you have, for example, stages in the product when it comes to iterations of prototype, you finally get boots on the ground when it comes to the product finally comes, your golden sample. Other things when you're in logistics and shipping, showing a warehouse, these things all get people excited about this new product that is coming out, as well as showing them all of the different work that actually went into that product. So you'll probably also want to talk a little bit about product stage. What are some of the other things you might want to talk about on social media? Other things would be thinking maybe about benefits, maybe a little bit about functionality. Benefits and functionality in terms of what is it going to do for the end consumer? Who is this for? Doing even a little bit of storytelling in that way. So by storytelling, I mean showing this in people's lives. If you have a backpack that you've invented that's for office workers, are you going to show this when they are after work in happy hour and the backpack's right next to them? Are you going to show it when they're in a cafe and the backpack's right next to them and they're talking with a coworker? In what environments are you going to show this? So your strategy is going to contain a few different things, but in general, you're going to want to kind of cycle through all of these different major things. And it could also be other things like agitation of the problem. So agitation of the problem is drawing people's awareness to this issue that exists in their life. And there could also be other kinds of elements to strategy, which is user interaction. So getting people to answer a poll or getting them to upvote if they want something, or to leave a comment if they have questions, or to tag a friend in one of your Facebook posts if you want them to do so, to enter a giveaway or something like that. So there's also, engagement. So what you're first gonna do is you're gonna outline this strategy for you, okay? And all of the different items that you wanna tick throughout a certain course of time. So this is a 30-day launch period, or this is a 6-day launch period, whatever it is, you're gonna kind of create a content calendar, basically, in order to coalesce all the different types of posts. You're probably gonna do this in Google Docs just to get started, and then you're gonna transition this to more of the tangible, which is what are you doing in terms of execution, which I wanna talk about next. So once you have the strategy down, let's talk a little bit about execution. So execution is just a fancy word for saying you're doing it, right? I'm really good at execution. I love execution, man. I'm one of those people that I like to be working on stuff and coming out with new things. I do love teaching, of course, but I also love executing. So when it comes to this, you're gonna have your strategy, right? And then each of these different profiles and platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, TikTok, these all feed into the strategy. So you have the same strategy or very similar strategy when it comes to posting on these different platforms. Now, obviously the specifics of a video is gonna be different on TikTok versus the specifics of a video on Facebook, but you wanna think really broad level here. So for something more, a little bit offbeat, something might be more viral on TikTok than some other platform, you might have a little bit of a different strategy, but this is just broad strokes, so hear me out here. So this strategy is gonna be then housed in a few different content types. So the first one is gonna be the profile. The second one is gonna be, we're gonna include this in the same kind of thing here in execution. There's the profile, and then there's stories, and then there's posts. And within these, you know, you might have different elements here like captions, hashtags, and other elements that are kind of in line with, you know, depends on the platform, in line with that actual post, okay? So that strategy is gonna disseminate across story posts, posts on that actual timeline, and your profile. Or example with Facebook, maybe your cover photo and what you're drawing people's attention to there, the colors, the branding, the way that this is in line with what people always come to that page and they expect what the product is gonna be about. So you're gonna take this strategy and you're gonna kind of fit it into these different elements, story, profile, posts, in these different social media platforms, okay? So you're kind of getting an idea now of like, all right, so I gotta take this broad strategy and I gotta enter it into each of these, right? But now actually, what am I gonna start to do? How am I gonna start to begin to flesh this out? How am I gonna build a social media following from this? Well, that's awesome. So there's two elements, right, to building the social media following. One is consistency of always posting content and making sure that you have lots of hooks that are going out. If you're trying to fish for something, you know, you're trying to cast out a line and catch a fish, catch a marlin or catch a trout or something like that, you gotta be continually there on the lake casting out that line. Same thing goes with social media. Number one, you gotta be having content that is always coming out with your profiles, or people think that it's not really dead or it's not alive. I'll be honest with you, there's some social media profiles I'm just not focused on, and that's okay. You don't have to focus on every single platform. You gotta pick the ones that are best for your brand. Maybe if you're your brand, you're a news brand, and you're like, you know what, I'm also gonna include Twitter in the mix here, right? So it's gonna really depend based on you and your category and these things, but the first thing is just consistency. So I'm gonna go through some more of these elements on consistency, and then we're gonna talk about another way to massively grow your profile. Okay, so we got these different elements, right? Profile, stories, posts, captions, etc. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna begin to coalesce this content. So this could be in the form of Google Docs, it could be Excel or Google Sheets. You could also use software tools that are out there, but basically you're gonna wanna start to collect the assets. So I call this asset collection, okay? What do I mean by assets? I mean photos, videos, the raw videos that you're gonna be using, and copy. Okay, what is copy? Copy is just a fancy word for writing, basically, but it's really marketing writing, where it's designed to get someone to take action in some kind of way. The books that I've written online, for example, I've written 11 books. A lot of them are just bare bones writing, but I also do have copy that's involved there in order to sell those books. So copy is kind of more, think of like advertising, right? So advertising is like, what are the words that people are reading in order to take action, the headlines, all that kind of stuff. So you're gonna wanna have the photos, the raw photos. Recommend, if you can, assembling this in a Dropbox or trying to get something together where you can share this with other people, a Google Drive, etc. Get all of your assets related to the product stage, benefits, story, anything that you can demonstrate or show that you want to show to people and to your followers. Get that all in a Google Drive or Dropbox. Number two, when it comes to the video, same thing. You want to chop up, if you have a larger video for your Kickstarter Indiegogo campaign, you want to chop all that up into really bite-sized components, maybe like 30 seconds, something like that. Could be a minute on the longer side, right? And you want to begin to get these assets in order so that you can begin to just pump them out on social media, and you can begin to get them edited in such a fashion that it's going to be good maybe for a story, or it's going to be good for an organic post. And next is obviously copy, and the copy is going to play into things, for example, like the actual caption, could be the title if you're doing a Facebook post, it could be the copy on the actual cover photo, it could be the copy related to what you're writing when you're posting something on Instagram or the story. There are so many different elements of copy. So what you're gonna wanna do is just collect all of these three things, these three components, into the folder, which I call collecting your asset collection, and then you're gonna move and proceed to the next step. Step number 4, and this is kind of the one that hooks, I think gets a lot of people a little bit more difficult, and it can be kind of hard if you're not a planner, is to begin to create what I call a content calendar, okay? A content calendar. So this could be things like when you're going to post, what you're going to post on which dates, and also examining things like analytics. Okay? And this will be kind of as you're going, right? So as you're going here, you're examining analytics. So that's like a feedback loop. That's why I draw that little circle there. It's like a feedback loop, right? So basically, as you're posting on social media, for example, like in a VIP Facebook group or something like that, you are then going to see that people are interacting with your posts at certain times and at certain stages of the week. And what you're going to do is you're going to start to shift your calendar, your content calendar, more in line with the data that you see. Now, I like to think of myself as, a reasonably intelligent guy, and I have a good intuition nowadays when it comes to marketing. Specifically, I've seen so many different campaigns with Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and new e-commerce products, right? So I know a lot. However, I am not above data. No one is above data. It's all about matching up your intuition with real world data. That's the only way that a good marketer is going to be worth their salt. And you can tell that if anyone tries to put intuition above data, never going to work, right? So what you want to do is when you're posting and you create a content calendar of which days you're posting, for example, what you're posting on those days, and build and sort of breaking down that strategy. Then you're going to see, look, people are interacting actually more on Fridays and Saturdays. I'm going to do more of my posts then. Or they're interacting earlier in the day or earlier in the week. I'm going to move my posts then. And what that's going to do is it's going to maximize the reach of those posts. So hear me out here. Let's just say you got 1,000 followers, right? But if only a certain percentage, let's say 5%, are engaging with some posts and 20% are with another, 10% with another, right? You are going to see more easily that if you post in a certain time or sweet spot, then you're going to engage more people. So you're going to have a larger broadcast medium. It's not about numbers, guys. It's not about the number of social followers you have. It doesn't matter if I have 30,000 YouTube followers or whatever I have, right? It does not matter. What matters is how many people's attention I command with my various videos and topics that I'm putting out. That's literally all that matters. Everything else is what they call a vanity metric. I'm gonna put that term here. It's called a vanity metric, okay? Vanity metric. You don't want to spend as much attention to followers. You want to spend attention to when you're putting out a post, how many of those people are actually looking at it and seeing it, because that's much a clearer sense of what your broadcast reach actually is when it comes to social media. So this is really why the content calendar and having analytics ingrained into that is just so important, in my opinion, and that leads you into the next step. Now this is kind of the fun part. So this is the fun part, because this is like you're loading up the cannon, man. I call this like loading up the cannon, right? So you're loading up the weapon, or you're loading up whatever the thing you want to say is. You're loading up the cannon, okay? So I don't know why, but I love to think of business or like doing any kind of online thing. It's like going to war, man. Like, where are my troops? Where's my crew? Gotta assemble them, right? We're going in, we're attacking enemy lines, or we're taking territories, right? Probably because I'm a nerd, honestly, right? But you're loading up the cannon. What does that mean? That means that you're then taking all of these assets, you're taking the strategy that you have, you then take the content calendar, and you're starting to put all of that together. So you're using maybe a social media tool to help with that, something like Hootsuite or Buffer. Maybe you could be doing this on your own and managing your time that way. You could be using other tools as well to get these made into a finished version before you load up the Canon. So you might, for example, have to watch my one YouTube video I did on Canva and figure out how to use Canva in order to do this, in order to get the raw assets into more of like a finished, polished version if you want to, in order to load up the Canon. And this is then when you're gonna start to shoot out these posts, okay? and you're gonna start to get content going out in a very, very regular fashion. Now, this is a very powerful technique. And the reason is that when you have this canon of really valuable, just incredible content that's going out like rapid fire all the time, people are going to tune in. I know it sounds crazy. When I was first getting started, I had zero followers online, my friend. But putting out quality content attracts people that are interested in consuming that content. And let's be honest, most of us are looking for something to distract ourselves with every single day. And if you find something interesting or cool, or it's like it's a new product that's kind of cool, right? You're gonna spend time and attention on that. If you're at work, if you're at the gym, if you're just chilling, you're not having anything else to do, people want to be entertained. They want the buying process to be fun. They're not just looking for someone to say, buy, right? They're really looking for someone to seduce them. And it's part of the fun, it's part of the process, man. And that's what you're doing exactly when you're loading up the Canon and you're scheduling the social media, is you're starting to at least get the foundation that is required to build those social media profiles. So next I want to go into sort of the next stage or the next step when it comes to really ramping up your social media profiles. And if you want help with this, you can always reach out to me, because we're helping a lot more people when it comes to their social media. So number one, if you want to, you can always book a coaching call with me. You can go to crowdcrux.com/coaching, crowdcrux.com/coaching. You can book a call with me there, or you can reach out to me if you're just ready to go and you want us to load up the Canon for you in that way. But let's move on to the next stage here when it comes to actually accelerating and lighting a fire under the growth for your social media platforms, for your social media profiles. So there are a lot of things that you can do, and they're gonna be varied based on the platform which you are going after, okay? So I want you to kind of like table our discussion here, right? So we're just gonna draw a line here. I want you to table this for now, and I want you to switch your thinking a tiny bit, okay? And I want you to think about these different platforms. When you encounter someone who's a really big YouTuber or a very big TikTok star, is it a surefire thing that they also have the same audience on every single platform? No. Answer is no. I've actually interviewed people who are award-winning top podcasters in the industry, but they have a very dismal YouTube following. I've also interviewed people on the contrast who have a massive TikTok following and don't have anything in the way of a YouTube following, right? So every single platform is actually different. And just because you're a big star, I mean, if you're like, a celebrity, let's just say like, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, or you're like a really big celebrity who's just known for their personality, maybe it's gonna translate then across every single platform because people are following you for you. But more often than not, people are following you, why? For the content, right? The content, everything we just talked about, that you are posting on social media. So that being said, you need to think a little bit about engineering the growth for that individual platform if you want to explode and get big. And this is why I say you don't have to focus on every single platform, my friend. You don't have to go and do something on every single one. You're just going to get burnout. Now, you could obviously hire someone. It could go all the way and do every single platform. But if you're doing it yourself, you're probably only going to focus on 1, 2, maybe 3 to really get good at it. So for example, if you notice TikTok, right? If you ever go and you're browsing on your phone with TikTok, there are certain types of videos that are suggested that will go viral, right? Or certain cringe-worthy content. The type of content that's resonating right now on TikTok is very different than the type of content that's doing very well on YouTube. So you need to think of these each individually. So I'm just gonna point out a couple of broad strokes in this video of ways in which you can grow your following beyond the consistent content approach. Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillrite is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillrite today. Link in the description. So the first way is to make use of hashtags, okay? Now hashtags, I'd say, are much more useful when it comes to platforms like Instagram, and it comes to more so mobile discovery platforms. But hashtags are a really great way in order to get your content in a particular conversation that is happening, and it can influence what content is recommended. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever been on TikTok or Instagram stories or whatever, and you're scrolling through and all of a sudden you start to discover some content that you're not actually following on that platform? That's exactly what I mean by content discovery, right? So hashtags are one easy way to incorporate into your social media captions and your posts in order to engage people that are part of that conversation, so you can then broaden your reach for particular posts. At the same time, you definitely don't want to overdo them, right? It's going to be kind of obvious if you're super spammy with this, but identifying not just obvious hashtags, but the real hashtags that people are using in that actual industry is going to be a great way to join in that conversation and get a little bit of that viral uplift. The next thing that I'm going to recommend right now are stories, okay? Because stories are actually really hot. And you might have noticed this as well. If you are a Facebook user, I actually don't like using Facebook very much, but stories are becoming more and more popular and people are watching them a lot more on their phone. Within stories, you can also mention other accounts. Within stories, you can become a part of a certain conversation or hashtags as well. So stories naturally are, number one, a way to have a bigger impact on the audience which you actually have with the social media following. So you can actually command a larger a group of attention of your followers doing a story. Number two, it can be used to join different conversations. Number three, it can encourage user interaction and engagement in terms of getting people to reply to your story, which then also is likely to grow your social media if they're recommending your story on their story. So let me kind of break that down a little bit, right? Because I don't think I made that very clear. So you post a story, let's just say, on Instagram. Someone else sees that story, right? They like it. They decide to post that same story, or even just a post that you did on Instagram, on their story. And then all of a sudden, people are finding out about your account that way. And it's a form of organic social sharing. So that's what I mean when I say, stories in some way can let you know about other people's accounts, and you can grow organically a following using that kind of a method. Another thing that I want you to start doing is engaging in comments, okay? The comment section. The comment section is a really underrated way to just kind of jump into a larger existing account and get attention. Have you ever been on Instagram and you look at the comment section and you see there are thousands of different comments or hundreds of different comments, and some of those comments have lots of upvotes and replies and conversation? All of that is a mechanism you can do to basically attract attention to your own account. So if there's something relative or related to you, or there's an account that's kind of like you want to reach out to, you want to engage with, you should definitely use comments as a strategy in order to get people interacting and organically following your account. And it has longevity, right? So as one social media post maybe gains more following over time or more video views over time, people will continue to go to the comment section. And if your comments are continually being liked or upvoted or causing an emotional reaction of some kind, they're going to continue to discover your profile that way, which is going to grow the followers to your profile. The next thing I'm going to mention are, ironically, mentions. Mentions, okay? So mentions are just really simple and easy way, and kind of what I wanted to include on this video. Mentions are like an easy way, I would say, to involve other people in your stories or in your Instagram posts, or doing things to interact with your community, right? So if you're doing, for example, like a giveaway, mentioning the people that are a part of that, or the people that are your new followers. If you're doing a VIP Facebook group, you sure as heck should be mentioning all of the new people that join that group, because it's a great excuse for them to comment and maybe invite their friends if it's a public group, or with a Facebook post, right? A comment and then tag or mention one of their friends. So mentions are actually a great way to grow a social media following, because whenever a friend mentions another friend, you can, bet your bottom dollar that person is going to actually look at that post because one of their friends tagged them in it. So if you can also be, as part of an engagement strategy, be putting out posts to encourage people to mention their friends, they're going to then see your social media profile, and thus they're going to check out your profile. A certain percentage of those are going to follow you, and you're going to grow your following organically that way. So I know this is a lot of stuff, okay? This is a lot of things to get started with, and I'd really like it if you could take some time just to begin to take some notes on this and how this applies to you. So in terms of the ways that you can move forward here, the first way is that you can do this yourself. And if you're a beginning entrepreneur, I always recommend trying out a little bit of marketing yourself, just so you understand what it is like. Particularly if you're then gonna outsource it in the future, or you're gonna work with someone else, you at least know a little bit of the lingo. So you can start with my book, The Kickstarter Launch Formula. You can check it out at crowdcrux.com/Kickstarter audio. Download the Audible version there. Other thing, if you want to just go straight to the source, you can always book a one-on-one coaching call with me. I also talk about all this stuff in my mastermind community at crowdcrux.com/mastermind, which includes a one-on-one intensive coaching call with me on a regular basis. Lastly, if this is something that you want to have someone else handle, reach out to me. I'll try to include some way down below. We've honestly been just like flooded with inquiries, but we're getting more to the point where I can process these and we can really have a great relationship with the clients in terms of being able to have a point of contact beyond me and working with people to get some really great social media posts going out. So this is something that's interesting to you. I will include a way in which you can get in touch with me and you can talk, if you want to, about applying this and executing upon this strategy for you, for your business, for your campaign, or whatever it is that you are trying to do online. Again, my name is Salvador Briggman. Go and check out my other video on Canva, which should be out by now. I think I made it pretty recently. Go and check out some of my other videos on social media because this is like one of the lowest hanging fruit ways to grow your brand online. Why not take advantage of it? Again, my name is Sal, and I'll see you next time. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and hope you enjoyed this content.